Hey, hello, welcome. Um, so you probably think that this talk is going to be like, yay, design power, we all deserve a seat at the table, and we're so powerful, and that's not what it's going to be. It's more like designing power, meaning this? Not really. Is that? More like this. Designing this kind of power. The point of my talk today is that we should think about ourselves as designers to design power itself. We should design power and not organizations, not services, not products, not interfaces, definitely not icons. We've all started, I started designing icons, by the way. Or, I started designing Winamp skins. That's how old I am, okay? And so, IRC, Mirk skins and themes and whatever. Throughout the years, because I'm a very old guy, I've been designing, let me design the whole interface, the whole screen. Let me design the whole product with the flows and become a UX designer. Let me design the whole service where the product is inside somewhere, right? And all the other services of this organization. You know what? Let's go higher again. Let's go to design the organization itself. And at a certain point, I was like giving consultancy about how to fire whole departments of companies because they were not serving the business anymore. That's what designing the organization means. It's like, who do you fire, who do you hire, and why, and so on. Where do we go from there, right? My point is that we should design the power structures itself. We've always been living in this story where, I'm a poor designer, there's not a lot that I can do, my impact is limited, people don't listen to me, yada, yada, yada. We've all been through that. And every time I try to push against that, I've always been told, yeah, it's not your job to do that part. You are not the boss that decides that. At a certain point, I was like, okay, I'm going to be the boss. I'm going to be the entrepreneur, I'm going to be the founder, I'm going to be the owner, blah, 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 right? And I've experienced this in a bunch of organizations. One of them on systems. Where I was kind of fired, I guess. Because of a power struggle. Yeah. And so, ever since then, I've became a bit disillusioned with the corporate structures around that we see, the traditional ones. And I was already, doing my own design agency, and I was trying to hire people and train people for a long time, and facing the challenge that, I'm a designer and I think I'm a good designer, but I'm not a good manager, like at all. And at a certain point, I was like, okay, how do you manage people properly, right? How do you assemble a team? How do you train people? How do you hire people? All that. And I was looking into all this, more alternative methodologies of management, like sociocracy and holacracy and all that. And I've worked in an organization that was trying to implement holacracy until the CEO came and was like, cut the bullshit, now I rule. That was also fun. And after spending $500,000 in workshops, by the way. And in 2016, I discovered Ethereum and cryptocurrencies, and most specifically DAOs, which is a concept that's called decentralized autonomous organizations. And, oops, go ahead. See, no power.
We must design a new TV.
Jesus, come on. My computer died.
Just like the Pope.
You spoiled my talk. I have a slide about that. Calm down. No, it's on. Okay. My point is, we should design the. We should focus on design power, the tools, the rituals, the processes, the infrastructure, and definitely the very nature of power itself. Or redesign power, right? Because we all live in a power structure somehow at any point. But right now, I'm the most powerful person in the room, I think, because I'm speaking and you're listening, right? And this hierarchy is always going on, and our brain is built to detect this hierarchy and act accordingly. Every freaking time, all the time. And so, we should be aware that this is something that exists. Why is this important? This is everything. Power is everywhere, right? Everything in the world is about sex except sex. Sex is about power. Oscar Wilde was someone that I started reading when I was a teenager, which is a bad idea, by the way. But that's what the library in my hometown had, and I was like, oh, I can go to the floor of the adults and I can sneak in some crazy books. And Portrait of Dorian Gray is a crazy book. But he said this, maybe, we're not sure if it was Oscar Wilde that said this. By the way, there's some disputes about who actually said this. But it kind of feels true, right? And 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I've heard this same thing, but in a different context, where power is also very relevant, by Dr. Luana da Cunha Ferreira, which was my ex-couples therapist in a session with my ex-wife. And I was like, interesting. So as you can see, this is an important subject to me. Come on.
Go to energy savings.
Yeah, I just need to go faster. Claro, óbvio. Ok. Vamos fazer um exercício. Let's do an exercise, sorry, in Portuguese. Let's do an exercise which is, I want you to do this as a Roman emperor, so you feel powerful yourself. And I'm going to show you some words, and I want you to do this if you feel positive about the word, or this if you feel negatively about the word. So the word power, do you feel positively or negative? You don't feel anything? Are you undecided, or you're just... Okay. Okay. The word authority. Okay. The word that's coming next, which is competence. And the word leadership. Okay, you're literally the only one. Yeah. And you as well. Okay, this is interesting. Everybody's putting thumbs up, except the two of you. Nice, interesting. You see, every one of us has different ideas of what these things mean, right? But in my mind, they're all the same thing. They're all power, right? We just put some other, stuff around it. Do you feel this is power? Yes. Do you feel this is power? Yes. Do you feel this is power? Yes. Controversial. Some people don't like Elon Musk. Do you feel this is power? Yes. Do you feel this is leadership? Yes. Undisputable, right? Yes. In our culture in Portugal, which is a Roman Catholic country mostly, right? The idea that we have of what a leader is very much inspired by Jesus Christ, right? We cannot escape this fact. And Pope Francis has just died, was the closest thing on earth to signify that leadership and power, right? last week, I was talking with a person, and a label came up. You've heard Andrea talking about labels and how powerful they are and so on. So I want to show you the last time I saw a label, and I was like, fuck, I feel something powerful with this label, right? So we were in a call, and she said, who said we were dating? And my Wi-Fi cut off. So I dropped the call. This was kind of a joke. And she calls me, and my phone is like trying to connect, you know? And are you mad at me? Because of my joke? Hello? I regret my actions. We are kind of dating. Paulo? Kind of dating. So this label, this is my label now. I'm kind of dating. That's what she did here, right? Okay, but now for real, right? What should we do as designers about all this? Like, we can create stuff. We can build stuff. We can design stuff. We actually have a very particular set of skills to change things, right? And I'm trying to push you guys to think about higher and higher impact stuff that you can design. And the highest impact stuff of all, I think, in my opinion, throughout my journey, blah, 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 is tools of power. As I was saying before, I found out about decentralized organizations in 2016, got into crypto because of that, started mining Ethereum with that guy over there and a few others. And it was a lot of fun. And in 2021, after the debacle of OutSystems, I was like, fuck the corporate world. I'm going to dedicate myself to decentralized organizations and how they manage themselves. And I've helped create a DAO called RNDAO, where we did user research about decentralized organizations, how people would deal with leadership and how would they organize in a decentralized fashion. Akin to how movements like Occupy Wall Street started and so on and so forth. And funny enough, in 2019, in this very room, we were doing an hackathon for a thing called Política para Todos, which was an initiative of some people here in Lisbon. When in 2019 there was a lot of new political parties in Portugal, and everybody was like, "What the fuck is this? Like, what are these guys doing?" Right? And nobody knew what each political party represented and so on. And we basically decided to create a website that had all the political parties' programs in Markdown that people could annotate, and we could, you know, ideally people could ask questions to the parties about each part of the program of the political party. And we kind of designed that here, me, George, some other people as well, in this very room in 31 of August. Wow, why are we doing this in summer? What the fuck? In 2019. And we live streamed the whole hackathon, so there's a 7-hour video on YouTube of us just like screwing around and doing stuff. And yeah, this is Política para Todos. I think the logo design is still my design since then, or whatever. And you can see stuff that they do, and then we open source this product, which is like this website where people can go and check the political programs of all the parties, blah, 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 for other people in other countries to do the same thing as well. It was actually funny because in the news one day, people were criticizing Chega, the right-wing political party in Portugal, for changing their program midway the campaign. And because they changed the PDF on the website, right? And we actually had mapped in Markdown the contents of the old PDF, and we put it on GitHub, and the contents of the new PDF and put it on GitHub. And we were kind of in the news at that time because it was like, oh, let's check the differences, because the news media, mass media in Portugal is like, oh, they say that they want to privatize health services, blah, 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 and they changed the program, and now they're saying something else, blah, blah, blah. Actually, the changes that they did was that they deleted 2 paragraphs that were repeated. And we could show that with our website and with our system because it was on GitHub and you could just do a diff and see the difference, right? So these tools of power that bring more transparency and more information about what's going on that really matters are important to me from a long time already. And we organize ourselves in this platform here, which is called Lumio. We voted on stuff, as you can see, like, let's decide on the meeting, when are we going to do a meeting. There's all the information here is open, and you can see the whole history since the beginning of time that we started this, and how many people were involved, and blah, blah, blah. In July, after trying to build a startup and raising money and figuring out that the two co-founders that I was working with, one of them was not really that cool, and we dissolved the startup, gave the money back to the investors. And after going through all that 2 years ago, me and the other co-founder that I'm cool with, we started to build a thing called proposals.app, which is an app that basically allows you to see proposals from decentralized organizations. The biggest decentralized organization in the world right now, in the world of Ethereum and crypto, is called Arbitrum, which is a layer 2 network, doesn't matter what it is. But it basically controls, as of today, it controls $10 billion in value. And all the decisions of that organization are made by everybody that has the token of the organization. So you can buy some tokens and you can vote on proposals. If you have enough tokens, you can propose new stuff. And people that have tokens can also delegate their voting power to somebody else to vote for them. That's how the system works. And it's all on top of public blockchains and therefore cryptographically verified. And you can trust that when you actually vote on this thing, it actually is casting the vote correctly, as you said. Which doesn't really happen in the real world, by the way. But these decentralized organizations are kind of, in my view, the test bed where we're testing new things about democracy. Because it has stuff at stake. There's real value, $10 billion. Well, if prices were up, it was more, but, well, crypto is kind of fucked right now. And it all happens in the public forum where people, put proposals, discuss stuff. This is my profile on the forum. And I am a delegate on this DAO, on this decentralized organization. So people can delegate voting power to me, and I will read the proposals, and I'll vote on the proposals, and I'm getting paid to do that, by the way. And it's almost as if I'm an internet organization politician, right?
What the?
Yeah. So you can see here that I say you can delegate ARB to me, blah, blah, blah. Here's how I've been voting. You can click here and you can see how I voted in all the previous proposals. Here's how much money I've earned. So if you click here, you can see all the money that I've earned from this organization since September that I publicly disclose, which, by the way, I'm the only one doing this. Everybody else is getting money, not saying where they actually get money. But as a statement, I'm like, no, I want to be a proper politician in this space. So we're going to, behave in the way that proper politicians do, which is the salaries are public, the ownership, the things that you own is public, blah, blah, blah. So I'm disclosing my earnings on this thread. And because I'm doing that, I'm doing something even more crazy, which is I've promised people that delegated voting power to me that at the end of the year, I'm going to take 10% of my earnings and I'm going to pay them a kickback. This is equivalent of a politician in Portugal saying, if you vote for me, everybody that votes for me will get 10%, a share of 10% of my salary. Yeah, it's crazy. But I'm doing this because we should experiment with governance stuff. Because currently, democracy is breaking, the one that we have right now. And we need to find another system, whatever it is, that will work at the speed of internet, at the scale of internet, at the scale of several planets, maybe, and that people trust that their voice is actually heard. that when you say, I vote yes, that vote is actually casted yes for everybody, right? We don't have it right now. Oh, come on. On proposals.app, the app that I built and launched, we launched this 2 weeks ago, for this particular decentralized organization, which is called Arbitrum. It is the most active and the biggest decentralized organization, the one that manages the most amount of money, the one that has more proposals, and the one that has more discussion and people talking about stuff. And basically, on this app of ours, you can see all the proposals since the beginning of time, like literally 2 years ago when this organization started. And there's like a bunch of proposals. And you can see that for, let's say, oh, this is an interesting one. So this was a proposal to create an investment fund to invest in gaming startups. And they were like, okay, let's get $200 million to invest in gaming startups. And people were voting. Oh, actually, this one is for the council. But let's go see that one properly. So this is the GCP. By the way, just this is interesting. There was a proposal to, this proposal was approved, so they got the $200 million to invest in gaming startups 9 months ago. There was not a lot of stuff being done. People were complaining, hey, you guys are not doing what you said you were going to do. This particular team that was elected to do this investment. And someone else put this proposal to claw back the funds, basically saying, no, you give the money back, please, right? Drama ensued, okay? By the way, sorry? From the DAO, from the Arbitrum DAO, yeah. And the revenue of the DAO comes from the fees that Arbitrum generates. So this particular organization is a network on top of Ethereum, whatever, doesn't matter exactly what it does, but it gets some money, okay? And the money goes to this decentralized organization. And when I mean it goes to this decentralized organization, I mean it goes to a smart contract that can only get the money out of there if everybody else that belongs to this organization votes yes, okay, on a vote. So, and when they do vote, the transaction gets executed automatically. This is the beauty of this system, is that you can come up with a bunch of proposals that say, let's pay this person, blah, 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 and if everybody votes yes, the transaction gets automatically executed. Nobody can stop it, nobody can be corrupt, and, oh, let's pay somebody else, or whatever, right? So it's kind of a cooperative on the internet, on top of cryptographic blockchain speed. Let me just show you a vote. So this is a proposal to do an hackathon program, and they were asking for some money, and they had an initial vote where people were like, hey, should we do this with a particular app, or should we do this without that app? And in this case, people voted to do without the particular app, which was cheaper. And then it went to the other vote, which is actually the on-chain vote that transfers the money, where people voted in this way. So the vote needs to reach a certain quorum, meaning a certain amount of people participate in the vote, otherwise it doesn't execute. And it counts 4 votes, which is the green ones, and abstain votes, which is the yellow ones, towards quorum. And it reached quorum like right at the end of the 2 weeks of voting, right? And you can see who voted for, you can see who voted against, and you can see that this was approved. This was passed.
How many people does it need to approve something like that?
It's not people, it's voting power. So for example, I have 60,000 of voting power, and the biggest delegate has 20 million. So I'm like a small fish, and they are a big fish.
What determines the power of voting?
Sorry?
What determines the power of voting?
It's how many tokens people buy, right? So you can buy the voting power. And there's also other platforms that rent voting power. So you can actually, bribe a particular platform to vote in a particular way. So this world is crazy, right? And people are experimenting with a bunch of shit at the same time, with real stakes in the game. And in my view, that's how you invent the next version of democracy or whatever it is.
But is there a max amount of voting power that a single person can
No, one person can have a bunch of voting power, but you have to, when you have the tokens, you have to delegate them to yourself or to someone else. And right now, there's like this amount of tokens that were delegated, and in this proposal, this amount voted. So 62% of the people that could vote voted. So it's like, the rest abstain, kind of. The results were like this. So
What is the percentage to reach quorum?
it's the amount of voting power. So to reach quorum, you need 122 million.
But what if someone has 150 million?
It would stop being a DAO, right? It would stop being decentralized, right? So right now, so for example, the biggest one has 18 million, right? And then the second one has 15 at the time that this proposal passed. And so 18 million is like, 15% of the quorum, which is a lot. Yeah, these guys are cool, but now they're not the biggest ones anymore because power changed then. Right now, this system works in the sense that one token is one vote, not one human is one vote. The reason why it doesn't work with one human, one vote is because it's hard to verify that one human is one crypto wallet, right? I can be a human, I can have 1,000 crypto wallets, and I can pretend to be 1,000 people, right? Unless, and this is where the real conversation about power comes, unless I, show my citizen card from Portugal, right? And I authenticate myself that I am a citizen of Portugal and I have this valid ID, and so I can only have this wallet, right? This wallet has a valid ID attached to it. I can do that, there are services to do that, but people also don't want to do that because they want to remain anonymous as well. The real vision for me of what democracy could be is if we have the technology to have a unique human being anonymous and voting by themselves, and where a unique human is counted as one vote. We still don't have the technology to do that properly because the internet is complicated to actually have it truly anonymous. But we will soon. And at that point, we need actually really good tools where everybody can be like, okay, I need to vote on stuff, or I need to delegate my voting power to someone else that I trust that votes for me. And they need to read the stuff and vote and so on and so forth. Yeah. But again, it's still a young stage of all this.
Yeah, I think the beauty of it is the liquid democracy, right? Where you can actually delegate your vote, because right now when you vote, then you're voting to a party and then you have to wait 40 years and then they're gonna vote
Right.
some stuff good, some stuff bad. And right now, if we truly could delegate our voting power based on the bill they're trying to pass,
Yep.
then you would truly see the change of power on a day-to-day. You can really affect democracy in a good way. Right?
If people participate.
Yeah, but you can delegate your voting power to different.
Yeah, but you can delegate and you can trust that they're voting according to your interests or whatever. Yeah.
But why do you think it's in a good way? Because that's an assumption, I think. Here you get a dynamic where people vote really short term. So I don't think that assumption is proven yet.
Yeah, but when you have parties doing deals, side deals, because
You have that there.
I know, but you can change directly, right? So if Blockchain is doing some crazy stuff with PS, you can, I voted PS, but I don't want to vote for them. And I don't want them to vote for me anymore. I want to change to PSD or whatever. You can do that. Right now, you cannot.
Exactly, but your assumption is that it's a good thing. Like if you change it straight away.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't know. We don't know. We don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. My take is like, I also don't know what is a good thing or a bad thing. I'm just experimenting and trying to break it. For example, the platform that allows you to buy voting power, which is, you can basically pay a bribe for that big wallet to vote, they became the biggest, most powerful delegate on this organization overnight. Wow. So you can imagine that people freaked out. Like, what the fuck? Like, these guys, they were the biggest ones in like two months ago. They stopped being the biggest ones because this platform where you can just buy for a price, and I was buying the vote of equivalent of 1 million ARB, like 4 months ago, for $3. 1 million ARB was worth $1 million. But I was buying the vote for $3 because nobody else was using it. And I was experimenting with it. Then they got 20 million ARB in voting power, and everybody freaked out, and now 3 weeks ago, they sold for $10,000 a vote for an election, where someone that was running for an election to get a job that they would be paid $100,000 a year, a friend of them, bought the vote for $10,000 for them to get elected, right? So this stuff, I'm not passing judgment. This can be seen as good or bad. My point is that this is happening. Democracy is being played with and experimented with, and we should, as designers, be the ones in the field playing with this, because we actually do have the skills to understand human behavior and to design stuff and to work on this kind of stuff.
That happens today with current democracy all the time, right? Where companies are influencing politics.
Yeah, lobbying in the US. Yeah, exactly. It's the same thing. Yeah. Actually, the platform is called Lobbyfy, so it's not private.
Paulo?
I have. Yeah, go ahead.
We have just time for one more question.
Yes.
Okay, so my intervention is just one. You're calling it democracy over and over. And democracy to me is one of those words that are very sensitive. Because when the word is used so broadly that it lost its sense, what are we talking about when you talk about democracy? I see that what you're doing is a thing.
Yeah.
It's a big thing, okay? Kudos for you for doing that.
Actually, wait.
I just would not necessarily call it democracy, but new ways of thinking or thinking politically. Because when I look at this, when you tell me that one day the guy had 16 billion and the next day he has 22 billion, well, I'm a historian. I've seen ancient Greek as a coup. The coup of one emperor to another emperor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But now we're not talking about weapons of just taking away the head of
Not yet.
poisoning. No. We're talking about digital currency. That's the new power. I really believe in crypto as a new power of the future. Although, again, I don't know when it touches democracy, and I'm not a political scientist. I'm a historian and I'm a designer whatsoever. I have one here. Everything that I am somewhere.
From essa
You know what I
perspectiva.
mean? I think that you're reshaping ways of digital making politics.
Yeah.
I would just be very careful of naming it democracy.
Yeah, I don't care about the word democracy. Democracy, as Churchill said, is the worst form of government that we have, except of all the others. And so we as species need to figure out how to govern ourselves. Like if we don't, we're going to go extinct, right? Someone in the White House is going to press a button and we're all fucked, right? So we need to figure out as a species how to govern ourselves. And that's the area that I'm trying to work on and experimenting. Maybe it will go wrong, I don't know. Maybe it will go right. But my contribution right now is to at least build tools that show more transparency, show more information, that show how people voted, show why they voted, all of that, right? Big and small votes and so on. Our stance about this is that we're in crypto to protect individual freedom. And freedom of speech is actually the most important human right. And that the vote is the most impactful form of human speech. And so, kind of like, the vote is sacred. As human beings, we should be sure that when we're voting something in a way, it actually is being casted and counted in that specific way. Right now, we're not. I'm living in Romania for a year now. They canceled presidential elections. They canceled 2 candidates willy-nilly, right? They recounted the votes of the first election, by the way. The results were different. So as humans right now, with our own systems of governance that we have right now, the traditional ones, the paper ballot, we don't know if our voice is being heard in the way that we want. What I'm trying to build is technology that guarantees mathematically that it is, and shows information about all that. So yeah, I hope you guys get interested on this stuff and come to the dark side of DAOs and help build this shit. So, yeah, thank you. Wrap it up, yes.